For many of us, the idea of becoming a millionaire sounds like a dream.
So this is the final answer heard all around the world. He's won $1 million.
I mean, who doesn't want to see a 7-figure bank balance? For me, it's always been my personal goal to have over $1 million inside my individual savings account, and something I've strived towards. According to Credit Suisse, the UK has over 2.85 million people who have over $1 million combined net worth across all of their assets. But in reality, does 1 million actually make you rich? Firstly, for the majority of us, getting to 1 million is actually very hard. Let's use Sam for example. She graduates university at 22 and gets a job with a starting salary of $30,000, which is the expected median salary for this year. After tax, her take-home pay is $2,035. Now, let's presume she's able to get by on $1,500 and she's able to invest $500 per month. Investing $500 per month into a tax-efficient savings account with a 7% return is still going to take you 37 years to accumulate. Now, while that seems like an amazing eventual goal that we should all be working towards, what does it actually mean? Well, with a 4% withdrawal rate, that should last Sam roughly 30 years, which on the surface of it sounds great. She'll be able to support herself with an income of $40,000 until she dies. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on the return of the market. Now, this process can be accelerated with the use of a pension. Building $1 million within a pension is a lot easier with a government's bonus, and you can account for the fact you'll likely spend less in your 70s and 80s. But even hitting that, say, 10 years sooner, does that really make you rich? In this theory of being rich, you seem it, but in actual fact, you are cash poor. And I am a prime example of this. On the surface of it, having 100k for a house deposit, 55k in a pension, and 110k in an ISA, which is roughly 260k combined, seems amazing. And by most comparisons, I'd say I've done pretty well, or at least moderately well for myself. But as I record this while I'm trying to piece together the funds to pay my tax bill, after I take away my rent and my regular outgoings, my heating, food and bills, I'm left with next to nothing. This is a common misconception that happens to me regularly. While on the surface of it, it's easy to look at someone with assets as being rich, but in reality, equity in your property or money tied up in a pension that you can't access until you're roughly 60, all that's going to do is tie you over with a nice car, a few good holidays each year, and freedom, which seems rich, but it's a far way away from what today's standards would class as rich. And that presumes that by then you've been able to pay off your mortgage, which with today's housing crisis may not be possible. And not to mention, 1 million in 30 years time is not 1 million in today's money. In fact, if you look back 30 years to 1993, 1 million then would be the equivalent of over 2 million today. Now, it's safe to look back as we don't know what future inflation will be, but it's a good metric to look at. A rough indicator of a future value with a 3% inflation on average would mean you would need 2.4 million in 30 years time to get the same equivalent as 1 million today. Pretty damn scary. Now, I have to say a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Chip. Chip is the app for building wealth for our generation. They let you save and invest all in one place. The Chip Instant Access account is an easy access savings account awarding 3% return on deposits of up to $250,000. The rate aims to follow the Bank of England base rate, so Chip customers don't need to constantly switch saving providers to get the best for their money. With most banks offering a rate of under 1%, it's great to see a solid rate. They also have their own take on premium bonds, which allows you to win up to 30k each month. They also have a stocks and shares ISA, which lets you invest in some of the top world funds, such as big British companies, US tech stocks, crypto companies, clean energy, or even physical gold. Chip's the place I use to save my money, and here's my account, and I can see that I'm due to get 3% interest, which is super impressive. They currently have some bonuses on when you deposit certain amounts, so be sure to get those and get up to £50 for free. I'll leave a link down below for any of you guys who want to check those out. Now, as much as we try to educate the younger generation, guiding them to have better financial education than we did, there's a huge barrier stopping this from happening. And I believe this is truly driven by social media. Recently, I created a TikTok video in the goal of reaching a younger audience, and I was explaining how the younger you invest, the better off you'll be. On the surface of it, it seemed great, but the overwhelming response I got from it was, I don't want to be rich when I'm 60, I want to be rich now. While we might look at this and shake our heads, it's clear there's a huge wave of influence on the younger generation that's given such aspirations. videos. 21-year-olds that are posing in their rented Lamborghinis or showing off their Rolexes, encouraging young kids to join their Forex courses, or there's gurus selling their dropshipping masterclasses that's going to make you rich overnight. And even moving away from this fantasy, you've got influencers in their 20s who, through no ill intent, are adding to the problem. A prime example of this being Ayman Gaddazi, who is empowering young men to be better, which is fantastic, but he's also made 30 million by the age of 23. And while I'm sure he doesn't promise the world like these fake gurus do, as a viewer you can't help but want the same success, which, being realistic, 99.9% of people aren't going to attain. With the dopamine of success hitting you from every direction, it's no wonder the younger generation think having 1 million at 60 is pretty irrelevant. It's sad, but it's true. So what do we do when we're faced with the reality of wanting to be rich but actually realizing that it's 30 years away? Well, you've got two options. The first is to rapidly increase your income. If you're able to increase your income to a higher level, then well, you can buy all of the things you want. The truth of it is, the majority of us aren't even in a position where our income is scalable to that level. At least if we were in a job or had a business that allowed scalability, there would be a higher likelihood that we would actually get rich. The ability to make, say, 10k per month would actually give you the money to invest and make sure you can retire comfortably, while also having the money to enjoy yourself along the way. That number may be way lower for you. In fact, you may be able to do it on 5k or 3k depending on your outgoings and your expectations. But in reality, the majority of the population, through no fault of their own, have quite skewed expectations of what rich actually is, and believe that richness will actually come through artificial happiness. In fact, the majority of people who reach the milestone of having 1 million in their bank account have often said how much of an anticlimax it was. And the first question is what's the next goal? Is aiming for the next financial goal while not wanting to spend any money actually going to make you happy?
So one of the things the book will help you understand is the meaning of life.
I'll do it in 5 words.
Okay.
Enjoying the passage of time. That's it. It's enjoying the passage of time.
I think this sums it up perfectly. Realistically, no matter how big your financial goal might be, it's about finding what gives you richness in life, whether that's cars and watches, or whether it's through family and loved ones, or through experiences. Something that people struggle with a lot in financial independence, me included, is you get so focused on this one eventual number that you actually don't want to spend any money because it deters from your goal. Now, it might seem quite ridiculous, but if you are financially stable and you believe that a certain car is going to bring you richness in life than other things, then just do it. I bought an Audi A5 Sport, and within a few months I knew it wasn't right for me. It was an expensive lesson, but one I wouldn't take back. I'd still buy a nice car when I felt I was in the position to do so, as I would enjoy it. But I've got far more important things to focus on right now, like buying a home and experiences. Following the fundamental rules of financial independence, retire early, it makes sense to have a cheap car and a cheap house, but sometimes it's not right. Take me for example. I spend mostly 20 to 23 hours of my day in my house working from home. Heck, sometimes it's even 24 if I don't leave the house. For me, it makes complete sense to invest more into a home that I will enjoy spending time in. This sort of quantitative measurement is often overlooked with other things we buy. For instance, a mattress you're going to sleep in every single night, or a chair you will sit in every day, or a phone that you will also use multiple times a day. Sometimes people get so caught up in the money saving aspect and long-term vision that you overlook investing in yourself and your own personal richness, which is never a bad thing in moderation. And sure, I know it's not easy, and speaking from my personal experience, it's an ongoing battle for me. The line between hitting those huge investing goals and spending it to invest in myself is an ongoing battle. It's something I'm continually working on, trying to grow my income while also refining my job to suit my own well-being. I've cut clients from my main business who brought me down to increase my overall happiness and put my efforts into more things like this YouTube channel. A huge barrier that stands in the way for the majority of people is setting this eventual goal of retiring, which sounds amazing, but the reality is you don't want to wish your life away to get to retirement. A far better goal would be to create the lifestyle you want. If you hate your job, work on changing it to something that brings you fulfillment or purpose, or at least start a side hustle or a business that's working towards it. I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can to find that balance in your life and find richness. If you're serious about scaling your income to 10k per month or more, I've just published what I believe, after working with hundreds of clients, are your best chances of doing so. So check that out and let me know if you have any questions. And let's find richness together.